Hey guys, it's Kaylee. Today we're going to talk about distance in the coordinate grid. Make sure you've already completed the lessons on ordered pairs and graphing in 4 quadrants before jumping into this one. Alright, let's go. So here on my coordinate grid, you'll see there's 3 different points here. And we're going to determine how far away each point is from the x-axis and the y-axis. Let's start with this point here. How far away is this point at coordinates 1, 1 from the x-axis? So we go to our point and then we trace down to the x-axis. How many boxes did we go down? 1. Now how far is this point from the y-axis? So we started our point, we traced over to the y-axis, and we went 1 distance. So we know that this point here is a distance 1 from the x-axis and a distance 1 from the y-axis, which is also just happens to be what our ordered pair is. Do you think it's coincidence? Let's see. Let's try to find the distance from the axes for this point here now. So first, let's find the coordinates, the ordered pair for this point. So over on my x-axis, I go over to 5. So my x-coordinate is 5. And on my y-axis, I'm over here at -3. So now how far is this point here from the x-axis? So I go to my point and I trace up to the x-axis. I go up 1 box, 2 boxes, 3 boxes from the x-axis, and how far am I from the y-axis? Starting at my point, I trace over to my y-axis 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm 5 boxes from my y-axis here. Now do you see where maybe these distances relate to our ordered pair here? So it was -3, but we're 3, so this full distance here was 3 spaces. And then we have 5 here for our x-coordinate, which is what our distance to our y-axis is. Nice. Let's do one last one for this point up here. Let's find my coordinates. My x-axis, I'm over here at -5, and on my y-axis, I'm over here at +6. Now what do you think my distance is to my x-axis here? Do you think you can figure it out based on the ordered pair here? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm 6 boxes away from my x-axis, which also happens to be my y-coordinate here. Now how far am I from my y-axis? Starting at my point, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 boxes from my y-axis, which would be the absolute value. Remember, absolute value, if I have a -5 in my absolute value, that's equal to 5. So my x-coordinate there would match. Nice work. So if we can find the distance between points and the different axes, we can find the distance between 2 different points on the coordinate grid. So here we have Dave's house here, and he is at ordered pair 5, 6. Now he's going to ride his bike down to his friend's house, the purple dot here, who lives at 5, 5. What's the distance between Dave's house and the friend's house? Let's see, we can move Dave, the red dot. He's going on down here. So he went a total of 1 square. So the distance between 5, 6 and 5, 5 is 1. Now Dave is going to ride from his friend's house all the way down to school. And school here lives at 5, 2. So if Dave now is riding his bike, he's going to go 1, 2, 3. 3 more squares from his friend's house to school. So what's the total distance between Dave's house here at 5, 6 and school down here at 5, 2? 1, 2, 3, 4 total squares. So the distance between them is 4. So now notice I have 2 ordered pairs here. Let's plot them. I'm going to plot point 1. It's at 6, 3. So my x-coordinate, I go over to 6 here, and I go up 1, 2, 3. There's point 1. Now let's plot point 2 here. It's also at 6, so I go over to 6 here, and then -4 is my y-axis, so I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's point 2. So now you'll see that these points here, they have the same x-coordinate. You see that there? And now I want to find the distance between these 2 points here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to find the distance between point 2 and the x-axis. So remember that my coordinates here are 6, -4. So what I can do is I can either count my boxes up here, or I can take the absolute value of my y-coordinate. Remember, absolute value of -4 is equal to the positive of whatever this number is, so that's 4. So my total distance here is 4. Now I'm going to do the same thing for point 1. I know my coordinates for point 1 were 6, 3. And if I want to find the distance here between my point and the x-axis, I can take my y-coordinate and take the absolute value. So the absolute value of 3 is the positive of that number is 3. So now I know my distance between point 1 and the x-axis is 3. So that means the total distance between point 1 and point 2 is going to be 3 plus 4, which is equal to 7. So now I know that this total distance here is equal to 7. Let's try another one. So now you'll see I have 2 ordered pairs that both have the same y-coordinate. So what's going to be the distance between these 2 points when we graph them? Let's graph point 1 to start. It says -2, -5. I find -2 on my x-axis, and I go to -5 on my y. There's point 1 at -2, -5. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to plot point 2, and it's at 8, -5. So I find 8 on my x-axis, and I go down to -5. So there's point 2 with ordered pairs 8, -5. Now if I want to find the distance between these 2 points, I need to find the distance of each point to the y-axis. So remember, to do that, I'm going to take my x-coordinate and I'm going to take the absolute value. So for point 1, my x-coordinate is -2. I put that in absolute value. I get a total of 2. Now for point 1, I take my x-coordinate, which is 8. I find the absolute value of that, which is 8. And then I add these 2 numbers together. 8 plus 2 gives me a total of 10. So now I can say the distance between these 2 points is 10. So you see what we do, whatever we do, we have to find the distance to the axes that's in line with these 2. So I take the coordinate that represents that distance, I find the absolute value of it, and then I add it together. Nice work. So now that we know all about finding distances, let's use our knowledge of shapes to just free draw anywhere in the coordinate grid. So here it says, create a rectangle with vertices at 3, 2 and 3, -2. So the first thing, how many sides does a rectangle have? 4. So I need to remove some sides here. So now I have 4 sides. And I know I have a vertices at 3, 2. So let's move this one over my x-axis 3 and up 2. And then I also have one at 3, -2. So let's move this one over 3 down to -2. So now knowing how the distance between this point and this point is 1, 2, 3, 4, I know that this side over here also needs to be 4. But these sides here, as long as they're the same, we don't have any rules about where they need to be. So I could just move this guy up here. How about right here? So it's also at the y coordinate of 2, And so I need this distance between these 2 points here to be the same as these two here. Remember, these ones had 4. So I move this one up here. I'm going down 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see if we're right. We did it! Nice job. So now that you understand finding distances in the coordinate grid, you can practice what you've learned by playing the games and doing the online quiz. Have fun, and remember to always be clever.
Hey, hey.